This is me. Yeah, I'm a drama queen. I'm 4 years old and I'm upset because I do not want to go to kindergarten. Not today, not tomorrow. And maybe you've been there too, or your children, that moment where the world feels too big and you want to stay at home. But here is a twist. My kindergarten wasn't in Australia. It was in the Soviet Union, a system that was famous and infamous depending on who you ask. So today we are going to ask a big question. Was Soviet kindergarten actually better than others? And what did the legendary developmental psychologist Yuri Bronfenbrenner discover when he studied it up close? Let's dive in. My kindergarten was not the worst part of my childhood. I actually had quite a wonderful childhood. I had an older brother who would play with me. I had lovely grandparents. I could draw and I could stay at home if I would ask mom, and my grandma was available. I also enjoyed a lot of friends, and as you can see, a little bit of dress up. I'm sure I did like playing in the kindergarten. But going there was not my favorite thing because I would rather stay at home with my grandma in her garden and play all day long. After 1917 revolution, a little bit of history, Soviet leaders placed preschool education at the center of nation building. Reports from the early 20th century even noted that Soviet Russia had more day nurseries than the rest of the world combined. And this was extraordinary state commitment to early childhood education and care. I'm sure our labor leaders would envy that. By the 60s, the USSR operated one of the largest group child rearing systems in human histories, with nurseries for children under 2 and preschools for the age of 3 to 6, because we used to start school at 7, sometimes accepting children from 2 months old. Think about that. A country decided on purpose that raising children collectively was a national priority. The truth was that women used to work. All Soviet women were supposed to study or work, and they were supported to do so. So I started nursery, which would be called long day care here in Australia, at the age of 1 years old. Before I spent this year with my mom, and her vacation or uh, parental leave was fully paid. Vacation was a bit ironic, of course, because she was busy looking after me. In 1960s, Yuri Bronfenbrenner traveled through the Soviet Union to study how society shapes child development, research that became the foundation of his, wait for it, the ecological systems theories in Two Worlds of Childhood. A lot of students know about Bronfenbrenner's theory, and I have a lot of videos explaining Yuri Bronfenbrenner. But little people know that he is actually a descendant of Russian citizens. So, what he actually liked about Soviet Union structure of early childhood education and care that made him write this wonderful book, Two Worlds of Childhood. First thing he noticed that structure was everything. Can you see how neatly these children are sitting down? Can you see how much they listen? No chaos, just order. A little bit too much order for my liking. So daily programs were detailed, tightly organized, and consistent. We followed age specific routines created by the National Academy of Pedagogical Sciences and the Academy of Medical Sciences. My personal experience suggests that we had a lot of nurses that would come and give us vaccination exams, sometimes treat us for some disease. And we also had a nurse on salary in the building, and my building was 3 stories building where we had different groups. Bronfenbrenner also liked the collective method more than individual. Can you see how this group is diverse, yet they are almost like the one? So this is a collectivist approach. So children were encouraged to share, to cooperate, help each other, and see themselves as part of a group, which is a reflection of a broader Soviet cultural macro system, as Bronfenbrenner called it. If you look at this educator in the middle, they were powerful socializing agents. Teachers modeled what the ideal citizen looked like: calm, cooperative, responsible. In reality, of course, they did yell at us and occasionally shamed us, but not all of them. We had a so called nyanichka or assistant educator and a qualified degree teacher who would be running the program. Bronfenbrenner saw this as a connection between macrosystem, child-teachers interaction, and microsystem and macrosystem. What surprised Bronfenbrenner was integrated care, medical, psychological, educational. By the way, this is a real swimming pool that I had in my kindergarten. I didn't swim there very often, but definitely a few times. We also had medical practitioner, as I said, the nurse, and pedagogical academies would develop a curriculum that was holistic, so and play-based. But we also had so-called eurythmics or structured movement exercises. We had special place to go and exercise, which I will show you, and there were some really unusual methods to maintain children's health. For example, where I come from, we didn't have enough vitamin D3. So we had to use special ultraviolet lamps to get this into our skin. Of course, Bronfenbrenner was shocked by these practices. It was something else. Bronfenbrenner really liked the focus on continuity from infancy to school. Yasli for babies and toddlers provided stable environment from 2 months to 3 years, and 3 to 6 would be called sad or the garden. Bronfenbrenner also loved strong social emotional learning that was based on cooperation, responsibility, peer support, and group problem solving. I actually don't remember much of it, but I remember we were supposed to do a lot of things together. We would sit at the table and wait for everyone to finish eating, which, yeah, again, would be very Soviet. These are all deeply aligned with a broader cultural ideology. There are 22 years between these shorts, and the one on the right is me, and that's the next generation of people who went to kindergarten. So, what Bronfenbrenner didn't quite get is the things that were inconsistent. For example, post war institutions struggled with poor conditions and low staffing quality in many regions, especially remote. Although we do have the same in Victoria and across Australia. Heavy ideological influence. Education was never neutral. These celebrations were linked to Soviet Union agenda, and children were pretty much shaped to become new Soviet person or citizen, aligning preschool with political goals. Suppression of some psychological methods were pretty cruel. So we had a child who was shamed for having an incident, and now it would be considered, of course, absolutely no, no. Also, there was limited space for individuality. So, educators used to say, be like everyone else. What are you very special? Are you special? What you need a special invitation? So, it was a lot of suppression of individual desires, needs, or even opinions. American children, as opposed to Soviet kindergarten children, of course, had to display more creativity, initiative, independence, because that's what was valued in the society. Let's do a little bit of time travel. Looking at this playground, typical kindergarten playground, you can see that there are areas that are covered because of the weather conditions, of course. And there are areas covered in snow. That's pretty much where we used to play. It is very open-ended space. It's not set up. While there would be some tools like some shovels, maybe some balls in summer and springtime, it was pretty much open-ended environment for us to play with each other, with educator rarely because they would supervise children, and we would also use a lot of our imagination. So, was Soviet kindergarten better? Bronfenbrenner conclusion was a little bit nuanced. So, there were evident strengths, highly structured, stable environments, strong focus on social and emotional skills and literacy, deep educator involvement, and massive state support for universal access. And pretty much universal access that was quite affordable, so parents didn't really pay much and they could go to work whenever they felt ready. If you look at this area, that's a real kindergarten that kind of improves on Soviet standards and introducing a little bit more warmth through the use of wooden furniture that was promoted by Montessori and a little bit of light. So it's more soft, some more individuality in design. The piano is the symbol of typical Soviet kindergarten because children used to sing and dance, and they always hired a professional piano teacher for that. Few other strengths involved a special room for physical activity, much bigger than the one that you see here on the picture. Also, special equipment for indoor education, which now you probably will see in the best Finnish schools, Swedish schools, and any other Scandinavian countries that are proud of their amazing early childhood education and care facilities. You would also see that in the modern post Soviet kindergarten, there's still a lot of previous design that stays. Children used to sleep inside special rooms, so this room is not for sleeping. This is a playroom and socializing room. There will be special tables where children would have their lunch, breakfast, and supper or dinner. So we also had an afternoon tea where we would have like an orange, a special juice that would help us to replenish our vitamins. Some children who went to Soviet kindergarten really liked the quiet hour or tihi chas, sleep whether you like it or not, and the stretchy beds or a special bedroom would be set up for children to have a good 2 hours nap. If you didn't feel like sleeping, you couldn't leave this space, and that was very unique feature of Soviet and post-Soviet kindergarten system. Now, let's think of limitations that Bronfenbrenner highlighted. Heavy ideological pressure, limited individuality, behavior approaches that are pretty much focused on strict discipline, and inconsistent resources across different regions. For example, my brother used to go to the Moscow kindergarten that had children from all over the world, from diplomatic um, diplomatic offices, and they would have additional language English to be taught to children. They also, by the way the pictures look, had more resources than any average kindergarten, let's say from Kazakhstan, that used to be Soviet as well. In short, it wasn't better, but it was remarkably effective at what it aimed to do: provide a universal quality access or to education and care within its cultural system. And that's exactly what Bronfenbrenner liked about Soviet kindergartens. He developed ecological model that still teaches us that children grow as part of their culture and within systems from microsystem to macrosystems and chronosystems. And the Soviet system shaped a particular kind of childhood that matched its social, political, and historical context. If you like this video, you also might enjoy watching the video about Bronfenbrenner and his theory, where I go in depth into his beliefs about learning.